What are you doing over here, man?
Nothing, just shooting.
You out here by yourself? Why are you doing that?
You know, just practicing, trying to get better.
Okay. Yeah. You think you can show me how to do some of this?
Yeah, sure.
I want to get better and try to make my team.
All right. Well,
okay,
you know, just you want to square up, get your elbows straight.
Like this?
Shoot, yeah. Release. Tip of your fingers. Okay.
So what else do I need to do to make it closer?
Try to bend your knees a little.
Try to bend my knees. Okay. Bend my knees.
There it is.
All right. Hey, thank you for your help.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Make your team now.
I hope so. Thank you.
Welcome, class. Today we're going to talk about differential association theory. Differential association theory was created by Edward Sutherland. Edward Sutherland is known as the father of crime theory, mainly because of his creation of differential association theory. He took Shaw McKay's existing social disorganization theory and expanded on it. More specifically, he asked the question, why do all these external structural variables, why can they all be tied back to crime? Why can they all be empirically tested to crime? He wanted to create one larger theory that looked at the individual crime level. So he took the idea of a macro crime theory, such as social disorganization, and he brought it down to a micro level in his creation of differential association. He believed, first and foremost, that crime is culturally transmitted. More specifically, he said that all these variables, all these external variables that have been found to be predictors of crime and criminal behavior, looked at the idea of simple learned behavior. He believed that crime gets culturally transmitted through learning mechanisms, or just simply, we learn criminal behavior the same way that we learn any other types of behavior, pro-social or otherwise. Therefore, he believed first and foremost crime was created due to criminal behavior that is learned. His theory is broken down into 9 propositions, which we'll look at now. Sutherland's first proposition was simply criminal behavior is learned. It was the foundation of his theory that helped identify the micro-level aspect of differential association. His second proposition stated that we learn criminal behavior through interactions with others via communication. And that's any form of communication that we have with one another, whether it be oral, whether it be written, whether it be imitation or physical. His third proposition stated that the principal part of learning occurs within intimate groups or intimate others. Specifically, he said that the strongest or the single most strongest predictor of differential association is delinquent peer association. So those juveniles that have delinquent peers are more likely to be delinquent themselves. Proposition 4 states that learning behavior includes 2 components. In order to truly learn a behavior, you have to, 1, learn the techniques for committing that behavior, so the way you can do it, the different strategies for committing behavior, and 2, the motives and rationalizations for committing that act. So why should we commit the act in the first place? If you don't have both of those components, you're not actually going to learn a behavior based on Sutherland's point of view. That leads into our 5th proposition, which states that how do we define what is criminal? Well, based on Sutherland's point of view, the criminal code or the legal code defines what is a criminal behavior and what is not. The motives and rationalizations for committing a behavior are defined by that legal code and the individual determining whether he or she believes in the legal code's definition or does not believe in the legal code definition. Proposition 6, and the most important of all 9 propositions, is the idea that a person becomes delinquent due to what Sutherland calls an excess of definitions favorable to law violating versus unfavorable to law violating. In order for someone to commit a crime, they must have an excess of definitions favorable to breaking the law over an excess of definitions unfavorable to breaking the law. This is differential association in one single proposition. Now, while the theory is broken into 9, this is the foundation of the theory. This is exactly what differential association says. Proposition 7 says that differential association may vary in frequency, which is simply the number of times it occurs, duration, which is the length of time that a behavior can occur, priority, which is how early in life you learn the behavior, and intensity, which is simply the emotional response to the prestige of the behavior. And that can be thought of as who taught you the behavior. If your parents taught you a behavior, it's more likely to be intense than, say, a teacher or someone else. Proposition 8 simply states that all behavior that is learned, criminal or otherwise, have these same learning mechanisms. Now this is kind of a catch-all, and one criticism of the differential association is that Sutherland didn't really outline what those mechanisms look like and how those mechanisms can be disseminated. However, he did state in Proposition 8 that criminal behavior and prosocial behavior, the same learning mechanisms apply to all. Finally, Proposition 9 states that criminal behavior is an expression of general needs and values, but it is not explained by them. What that simply means is that we all need money, for example. We need money to live and to survive. However, a laborer will work for that money in a prosocial way, whether that be through a job or through a non-profit, but something in a prosocial manner. A thief or a robber, or any other criminal on the other hand, may steal for that money, or do some other kind of criminal enterprise to get that money. That money we all need to live off of. We all have the same desires and needs and values for it. However, it doesn't explain why one person is a criminal and one is not. People use that as justification, but it is not applicable necessarily based on Sutherland's point of view. Those are all 9 propositions of differential association. Remember that Proposition 6 is the single most important of all the propositions because it is the foundation of differential association.